All right, we are live and welcome to Ignite Thursday, where we like to have fun and talk about ways to improve ourselves. So ultimately, welcome everybody. Nobody here yet, but this will be on YouTube after the fact. Being said, this recording will be here. What's up, buddy? What's up, Antonio? So Ignite Thursday. I've essentially been doing Ignite Thursdays to provide you guys insight on other things that I have been doing to help you guys out, ways I've improved and ignited change in my life, and helping you guys out. Kind of do a Q&A, come with some talking points to try to help you guys out. Ultimately, up to this point, it's been a long journey. I started out with the Underdog Experiment, if you guys don't know, and have come all the way essentially to Ignite Thursdays, where again I come on and help people out. Being said, this week's theme has kind of just been plant-based diets. I know that's probably something a lot of people don't want to talk about, but the plant-based diet in itself is something that it ties into everything, right? We have to understand that when I'm talking about the mindset and everything, that it helps essentially fuel the brain, right? It helps you optimize the brain. And so that's why I bring it up. That's why it's a pillar perspective. It helps you with a bunch of different things in your life. It helps you with your mindset. It helps you with your body. It helps you recovery. One thing I do talk about in the course that I'm developing, the first module I have is SelfFirst. And that being said, why is SelfFirst so important? SelfFirst is important because it's essentially the foundation in which you lay everything. And in saying that, And so in SelfFirst, essentially the foundation in which you lay everything, it's good to have, oh, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm 100% plant-based. Antonio said he's a vegetarian, so and there's a big difference between them all. I didn't realize that until I became plant-based, that I realized the difference between vegan, vegetarian, and even raw vegan at that. So, and being said, the plant-based diet and bringing it up this week, again, you're trying to optimize your mindset, right? And to understand, to be able to do that, it comes down to your diet. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about diet. I don't typically like to talk about diet because of the fact that diet is a very emotional thing, right? We are emotional beings. And when you bring up diet, we have emotion tied to it because every major event in our life is always tied around food. And that being said, it is essentially our scapegoat. It's a cheap, easy way out to allow ourselves comfort during hard times. That being said, when you're tying this all into the mindset, you have to realize that, again, the fuel, right, the gut bio. What's going on in the Inspiration Zone? How are you doing? You have to realize that the gut bio and everything is, there's more science coming out on how it's affecting the brain and understanding this. And in doing so, I've chosen the plant-based diet. I'm not saying it is. I don't want to come on here and say, hey, you know what, you guys need to go plant-based because if you're not, essentially, you're in the wrong. But that's not at all what I'm trying to essentially show you guys here. What I'm trying to show you guys is the fact that the perspective that it's brought me, and I do talk about that sometimes, about the perspective that plant-based has really brought into my life. Sorry, just checking the mic, make sure the mic's on. And in realizing that the perspective that you're getting, right? A lot of times I talk about this, and I've been reading this book on conscious levels, right? And how important it is, and understanding. Okay, I'm glad you guys hear me on Instagram. I'm just making sure I got two different mics here, so. But in understanding that emotional ties to food and trying to understand that, again, all right, I'm trying to pick up where I left off. But ultimately understand that we have different conscious levels, and without doing that internal work and stuff, you have to understand that you're going to come across other people that aren't at other conscious levels as you. And this is something I've been reading about. I was kind of aware of the different conscious levels, but I haven't really done a deep dive on it. And so when talking about the different conscious levels, and that's why I talk about being an observer of your thoughts and ideas, because that way you have more control over your life. And diet being one of them, being able to choose the things that you put in your body, right, and stuff like that, and realize that the choices that you make essentially will affect your body and mind. And so in saying that, again, the emotional ties that we have to food are hard. So when you bring up anything about diet, people, don't typically want to listen about diet in itself, right? Because you're giving up something that's very emotional to you. That being said, I talk about lifestyle changes. It should be a lifestyle change, not just, we get this misconception about what the plant-based diet is. That means you're giving up something, right? And a lot of times you're not giving up something. We're more for the instant gratification as opposed to the delayed gratification on things. And then knowing that and realizing, the science behind the gut bio and how much it's actually playing on your brain in itself and the way it's working, it plays a big difference. Not only do you have the emotional tie, so you get the dopamine hit, and that's what you're looking for, especially if you are going through tough times. Understand if you can get around that and delay it, and it's a process. And I've talked about this last week too, about how you got to slowly, gradually make changes in your life. If you're trying to ignite change in your life, it's a slow. You're slowly warm water. I talked about last week. And how do you cook a frog, right? Or how do you boil a frog? You can't just throw a frog in boiling water, right? Because the frog will jump out. So what do you have to do? You slowly raise the temperature of the water to boil a frog, and a frog won't even know he's being boiled, right? And that's to understand the same concept and apply it to every aspect of your life. To ignite change is that you're going to have to slowly raise the temperature to get yourself to a different conscious level, to get yourself to perhaps pick up a plant-based diet, pick up one of the other pillars that I'm talking about, whether that's in wealth or whether that's in body and mind, or even soft skills, right? And understand that it's a gradual thing. It's not an overnight thing. And a lot of times when you talk about diet, there's this the stigma associated with the word diet, right? So we need to remove the diet and just realize that's a lifestyle change. You're going to slowly, and I'm not saying you have to go full plant-based. What I'm saying is you need to incorporate more closer to nature things into your diet, and realize how much impact it has not only on your body and recovery, and also realize that it has a dramatic impact on your mind and how you go about essentially making decisions in your life, right? And coming at a clear mind, coming at with focus, coming at all these different things. And, you're talking about wanting to be more of the kind of person that you see that you want to be, right? Like that person you've always desired to be. Like, how do you get there, right? And if you can incorporate a solid diet that has these things, other plant-based, closer to nature things in your life, you realize the dramatic impact it has. It has, whether that's leafy greens, more fruit, add more fruit into your diet, nuts, quinoa, stuff like that, and being smarter about the choices that you make, and realizing that the impact it has on your mind and your mindset going into things. Because I've always believed that you need to come at things with preparation, right? Because to create your own luck, you got to be prepared, right? Or else you can miss out on opportunity ultimately. And so in knowing that, I always try to optimize the best that I can with my brain. This is also body and mind why I do a lot of running and stuff to help the blood flow and stuff to the brain. So when I come to decisions where I want to ignite change, it's a lot more fluid, a lot easier. And plant-based, again, being one of them. Again, I'm 100%. You don't have to do that. Just incorporate more plant-based things into your life. But that's one thing to bring up too, is a lot of if you look at this historically, right, a lot of the most intelligent people in our past have all been plant-based or vegetarian. You look at Albert Einstein, right? You look at Leonardo da Vinci, which I love to always go back to Leonardo da Vinci just because of his idea of perspective, right? And realizing that you need multiple perspectives, not just one. Being said, so I did talk about the transitioning into your plant-based diet, or transitioning just into eating some more healthier things, healthier options that can help you have a clear focus and allow yourself to not feel so groggy and everything. Because if you feel that way, then you're going to continue to push doing the same things over and over. And so if you can, again, eat stuff closer to nature, that's one thing you need to realize too, is that a lot of the different things that we eat, they have a lot of preservatives in them, and they have tons of salt, more salt than in essentially one meal that you would need almost a whole month. So just put that into perspective and realize that the salads and stuff that they sell in restaurants and stuff are much smaller, that you can eat a tremendous amount, right? What they give you is not what you're living on. Like, you can eat normal, you can flavor your foods, you can eat all the same things, they're just prepared differently. And so trying to provide that perspective and realizing that, again, it's not an overnight thing. Just slowly start integrating stuff. And then before you know it, you'll get to a point like I did. I slowly progressed to a point to where I was 100% plant-based. It took me like 3 months to go full into a plant-based diet. But again, I'm not saying that you have to, just incorporate more things. And going back to the preservatives and stuff, you have to realize that your taste buds are essentially slammed with all the salt, right? And so you need to understand when you're transitioning over, it's going to taste bland, the salads and everything that you're eating, but you got to remember that you've had so much salt that you're trying to get rid of that out of your system to be able to start enjoying stuff and really tasting stuff, right? Your taste buds start actually opening up more, and you could taste more stuff. And like even simple things like apples and fruits and stuff, right? They taste so much better once you get rid of all those preservatives that you've been eating this whole time, right? And so we're just trying to optimize the brain and realize that this is ultimately what you're trying to do. So being said, another misconception is soy. Soy, I know, is another big one that people talk about. They're worried about soy if they're going vegan. I don't eat tons of soy. Soy is in just about everything. Excuse the train if you can hear the train. But nonetheless, soy and that whole estrogen thing, I know that's an ongoing battle, and that's why I don't like to talk about diet. Sorry for the train. It likes to make an appearance every now and again. But nonetheless, soy is not one of those things that is going to, if you're a guy worried about estrogen levels and all that stuff, it doesn't affect you. You have to eat tremendous amount of soy, right? There's a lot of misinformation. And that's also what I'm leading to about the perspective of plant-based diet, is to understand that a lot of things that you believe are conditioned into you. You have to take that step back and condition yourself how you want to be. And plant-based, again, being one of them, and understanding that a lot of the things, that's one thing I wanted to talk about was I grew up, I was a kid in the 80s. And so I don't know how old everybody is on here, but if you've ever seen that Manwich commercial back in the 80s, right? If you ain't eating Manwich, essentially you're not a man. They have all these kinds of commercials, right? You have to realize that people are digging into your psyche essentially to say, well, if you don't buy our product, then you're not manly. And understand this and realize that this is constantly, you're constantly getting bombarded about this. And this is why I say about separating yourself and being an observer of your thoughts, being able to control your thoughts and ideas, and realize that you're constantly bombarded by marketing and stuff like that to help condition your mindset into believing that if you don't have these particular things, that you aren't manly or you aren't fill in the blank, right? And so saying that plant-based is essentially one of those things, right? A lot of people think it's feminine for whatever reason, but being on it and trying to really optimize, if you really want to try to optimize your brain and your body, right? That's why I hammer stay as close to nature as possible. And you can see that not only is the fitness industry pushing this and the health industry pushing this, the health industry in general pushing this, because they're seeing the results, right? The story has been changing over the years. Continue to battle it, and now it's starting to change. But understand that to really maximize, to optimize yourself, stay closer to nature as much as possible. It's not saying, again, go overnight plant-based. That's not all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just incorporate more stuff like that. So I talked about the conscious levels, see a lot of misconceptions, which, so that's what I wanted to ultimately talk about. I think big tonight is just talking about the perspective, because I always bring this up about the plant-based diet. Like, you really have to be open-minded about these things and realize that there's another story being told there, and that you've been conditioned to think a specific way, whether you want to believe that or not. And that's what really opened my eyes about, although I've always kind of pushed against the boundary, which is important, but you also have to understand that by also doing this, just the perspective that the plant-based brings, right? And try to be an observer of your own thoughts, and realizing that, again, doing this, you can make, great changes in your life. But again, it does come back to the different levels of consciousness, and something I'm trying to find in myself, right? And determine what conscious level you are, because a lot of times you think about the different conscious levels, which I've been learning about. There's essentially an infinite number, right? We'd all essentially want to hit enlightenment, but enlightenment is consistently changing. Since we evolve, we are also evolving our minds as well. And in saying that, you want to ever again not allow what you've been conditioned to believe to make you not make change. And for me, again, it took a health scare to realize that I needed to make that change. And again, the conscious levels in trying to get you there, and understand that once you get there and you see it, then you hone into this pattern about, well, what is the other patterns I can find ultimately that will help me ignite the change that I want and the perspective that I want. So with that being said, I know this is a short one today. If anybody has any questions, I did want to bring up, I am still doing virtual races. Before I close this out, I am still doing virtual races. If anybody's actually interested in that, if you're watching from YouTube, it is down in the link below. If you're watching on Instagram, it is also in my bio. So if you guys are interested in doing some virtual races, connect, get on Instagram, tag me in it, let me know so we can start running. We can start igniting some kind of change in our life, physical, whatever. The virtual races, you don't have to actually run. You can do any kind of activity. It logs all those different things. It actually allows you to pick whether you want to cycle or walk or anything like that. So again, if that's something you're interested in, those are links in the bio. Course is getting close. It is really close. I'm hoping to finish it this weekend. The Ignite Mindset course is also coming soon. What else do I got for you guys? I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to hit on this pillar. I want to go over a lot of the other different pillars. I do have mind and body. Again, if there's anything in particular from the different pillars you guys want me to do, let me know, and I can hit on it. I was thinking even about doing like fasting is another one under the body and mind, which does help the mind a lot. There's also, wealth is talking about other different things. Ultimately, I generated those three pillars, then realized I had to go back and start more in the mindset and how to essentially allow you to find that change, right? And find that conscious level that you're at, and how to get to the next conscious level to be the observer to make the changes that you want in your life. And that essentially requires a lot of internal work. It requires a lot of deep thoughts, a lot of unplugging, and being able to ignite the change that you want in your life. So, being said, it is short today, but this pillar. I just wanted to provide a little bit more in depth and see if anybody had any questions. There is not anybody on. There's some people pop out in and out of Instagram, but nonetheless, those people on Instagram that showed up, thank you guys very much. And those other people out there, YouTube and Facebook, none. So I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I got the new podcast coming. Got a podcast coming on Sunday. Got an interview coming next Tuesday. It will drop next Tuesday on YouTube with Antonio. I'm excited about that one. So, all right, guys, have a good one and go ignite some change. Too many buttons.